we had at that time, they were taking civilian contractors. So you had, builders, electricians, everything like that, over on these islands. The bad part is you as a civilian, you cannot pick up a weapon. So the enemy was coming in and was killing civilians on these islands. So,
what's up, guys? Welcome to the James Boudreaux podcast, where I sit down with people from all walks of life to talk about their stories, experiences, and ideas. This podcast is brought to you by Watson Motors, the official studio sponsor. If you're in need of a Jeep, Ram, or Dodge, or whatever, these guys have you covered with great deals and even better service. So hit them up in Manistee, Benzie, or Ludington, or check them out online at watsonmotors.com. Listen, support the people that support the show. Now let's get into it.
Ben Morrell, he was the admiral of the Bureau of Yards and Docks, and he came up with an idea of starting a construction force. And they kicked around a bunch of different names. Beaver was one of them.
Beaver?
Yeah, Beaver was one of them. Well, because builders and...
Yeah.
But here's the problem. What does a beaver do if you attack it? It runs. Well, what's a bee do if you attack them?
Stinks.
So, hence, that's where Seabee kind of stuck.
Gotcha.
And then our drawing of the bee.
So Seabee.
Yep.
Okay.
Or you can abbreviate it and just C and B.
Yeah.
Walt Disney actually drew our first insignia, B. So let's see. March 5th, 1942 is when we officially became the Seabees. We actually became the Seabees in January, but our birthday is actually March 5th of 1942. That's when we celebrate it. So then, let's see. Fast forward from there, we pretty much have been in every conflict, war, and up until now, we're 80-some years in.
So do you go through a traditional boot camp and training?
Yep. So I went down to Great Lakes, to Old Great Mistakes over in Chicago.
This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker-owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com.
And went through my basic, got done with boot camp, and then from there, I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for my school. We have different areas where our schools are at. So because I was a heavy equipment operator, that's where we go for our school. And did my school. Once I got done with my school, or getting close to being done with my school, we had a thing called a dream sheet. And
yeah, I remember the dream sheet.
You could put on there, roughly where you wanted to go. Me, I was trying to get as far away from this as I possibly could. So I picked California because we only have two. For the Seabees, there's only two bases we actually have. So we have Gulfport, Mississippi, and we have Port Hueneme, California. I picked Port Hueneme, California, and just pretty much I spent almost my entire 20 years on the West Coast.
Fucking great. Our dream sheet, we could pick 8 bases, and I got none of them. I put all the rad bases, California, New Mexico, Colorado. I put a bunch of worldwide remote shit on there. I'm like, if I don't get these, I'll go overseas. I'll go to Korea. I don't give a shit. I want to go someplace rat. They stuck me in Minot, North Dakota. I mean, And I swear to God, Bill, it's because I'm from Michigan. You know? I think I might have made a mistake when they were like, do you have a problem working around nuclear weapons? And I was like, no, that's fine. But whatever, that's where I had to go. So it wasn't sunshine and bikinis for me. It was, a line at the Dairy Queen.
Well, I'll tell you my last duty station in a few, and that will probably put you a little more over the edge. But when I say I spent most of my time on the West Coast, I mean, granted, I deployed, numerous times, multiple places.
What do those deployments look like? Are you like on a ship or
no?
So you're not traditional like.
We are not. So let me kind of go back on that a little bit. No, we are not traditional. So when an NMCB, Naval Construction Battalion, deploys, we end up getting on planes and we fly to wherever we're going to go. Now, I did do a deployment when I got stationed in Jacksonville, Florida, back in 2015, and I took a humanitarian cruise for 6 months, which was great. I mean, I pretty much cruised the Caribbean for 6 months, went through the Panama Canal, just got to see a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to see. Yeah. I went to a lot of countries that, like, you would take your wife to, but you're going to the resort area.
Yeah.
I was going to the area where you don't want to go to. So I was on a ship for 6 months. I hated it. I hated it. It was the most miserable.
So before you go on though, so you didn't like being on the ship. What at the beginning of this though, like why did you decide to go the Navy route to go into this Seabees? Like, what was your initial? Well, I think, did you go in strictly saying this is what I want to do?
So here's how everything kind of got started. Once, we all graduated and left high school, I was always, even in high school, I loved construction. I loved heavy equipment. When they were building those condos back there by me, I was back there constantly watching those. I thought that was the greatest thing. It just, I don't know what it is. It's just heavy equipment. I love it. For me, it's a passion. So, kind of fast forward, I was working in a factory for a couple years, and it wasn't me. I wasn't an indoor kind of person. So I got injured on the job. I was off for about 6 weeks. Got bored out of my mind. By about the last week, I was so bored, I went over the first street over here to the basketball hoops. Was just shooting a basketball, bored. There was some guy there with a kid. His ball, the kid, threw the ball and it bounced over my way. So, being a nice person, I took it over, and the dude had a sweatshirt on. It said Old Navy. I didn't think anything about it. Just a dude with his kid, Old Navy. Guy starts talking to me. So, have a conversation with him. Mistake. Recruiter.
Got hooks.
Yeah. So, he started talking to me and everything, and, he was fleeter, and I was like, I don't know. So I had gone back home, and my grandfather had done 42 years in the Navy.
42 years?
Yes, 42 years in the Navy. World War II, yep. Korea.
For sure.
I mean, he, and surprisingly, here's kind of a surprising part. A lot of places I ended up were places he was at some point in time, in his time. Which is just amazing to be able to kind of step foot in some locations that he had stopped. So I came home and I had, I brought it up to my grandfather, and he was like, well, you like construction. And he's like, there used to be a group called the Seabees. He goes, I don't know if they exist or anything like that anymore. He goes, that was back World War II and Vietnam and everything. And I was like, he's like, go, at least go down there, see. He goes, if they do have it, he goes, look at it this way. You go and do it. He goes, one, you serve your country. He goes, two, you turn around, and he goes, you get, knowledge where,
sure,
you go out to a job, you're going to have a better chance than, starting out as a shovel person. Okay. So, went out and went down to Langton, seen the recruiter, and like I said, he was a fleeter. He had heard of the Seabees, but he didn't really know much about it. Well, it just so happened that the head of the recruit station down there was a Seabee. He was a senior chief. He was on his twilight tour. He was about to retire. He was from that area, and we had gotten talking about things because I had recently got my CDL. And so he was kind of hitting me up like, hey, how hard was it? And everything like that. I'm like, well, it wasn't, too bad. And he was looking at what he wanted to do when he retired. So he ended up, hooked me up, got me into the Seabees. And to do the Seabees, I had to do a 5-year contract right off the bat because of our schooling and everything like that.
Did you get any bonuses?
No.
So, dude, I was so pissed when I got out of boot camp and all my training. When I got to Minot, there were young airmen that had just got out of training I was basic, no stripes. They were coming out of boot camp with 2 stripes and an extra like 10 grand in the bank account. And I'm like, these motherfuckers are months behind me, and they already outrank me and have a bigger... Anyways, you know how the military is every now and then, like, hey, we need more recruits. Let's give them a bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I ended up, I think it was my first deployment over to Okinawa, Japan. There was a guy, he was from Hart, Shelby, something like that. He did 1 extra year, and he got freaking, 10, 20 grand, something like that. And I'm just like, what? 1 year? Like one extra year. And he,
yeah. Air Force is doing, for certain jobs right now, they're doing, if you do a 6-year contract, you get 50 grand. I mean, for a lot of people, 50 grand,
I enjoyed my time. There was bads, there was goods.
Sure.
I mean, like anything. Would I do it again today? No. And the reason I say no is I had come in a time where when the senior personnel told you to do something, and it didn't matter if they were 1 rank above you or whatnot, they said take out the trash, you just shut the hell up. You took out the goddamn trash.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the story. You didn't have a bunch of open door policies. You didn't have a bunch of garbage that you have today. You didn't have a bunch of individuals. You came there and you all suffered together. Not saying that it still isn't somewhat like that, but it's not. By the time I was getting out, there were more more skippers with open door policies and master chiefs, command master chiefs with open door policies, and it was just kind of the system was getting watered down. It wasn't like
when you say that more open door policies, you mean more open to grievances?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, it was more if I said fucking take out the trash,
and then I could go and cry to the...
You could cry and be like, whoa,
yeah.
Travis said, he swore at me or he's making me take it out every day. And,
yeah, so I'm a purist like you are.
So
I'm like, yeah, that weak shit can go. When I was going through, it was 1998 when I was going through boot camp. And even then, because I'll have guys on that are older than us, well, a good example, younger than us, is I had, I don't know if you know Dan Broadbent, good guy, owns Broadbent Photography. He's ex-Air Force.
Okay.
And he went in, he's younger than us. So I was telling him, I said, yeah, even when I went through, they had this thing, and I don't know if it's the same in the Navy or any of the other branches, but instead of getting because I was expected to get jacked up. Especially during boot camp. I was expecting the drop and give me 20 shit and all that, but we didn't even have that. It was kind of, I don't want to diminish the training, but boot camp was the easiest part of my whole time in the military. The training afterwards was more difficult, but what I'm getting at is there's, people got a lot of free passes. We had a guy, I've told this story before, but we had a guy who just could not do any of the drills. He could not do any of the PT. I mean, could not do a fucking push-up, bro. And everybody else was...
How can you not do a push-up?
I mean, he was... So at the end of training, at the end of boot camp, it was like the last week, the last 5 days, which is really just you're doing a lot of drill, a lot of guard mount, you're getting ready for the graduation parade. And we all had done our final PT test, and he didn't have to go through the course. I'm like, what's going on here? And then our drill instructor, she was like, you got to do 10 push-ups. I'm gonna have to, I got to put something down on paper. And we're all in the room like, what the fuck is going on here? Well, she let him do 10 push-ups on his knees. But then, the thing was, I don't know if this is a false memory or what, but people were saying that he was going into some big branch of the military intelligence or whatever. So they were trying to just push him through to get to where he was going because, he's not going to carry a gun. He's not going to,
Yeah.
He's going to be. But I was just like, no, that's the kind of shit I never wanted to see. Like, I wanted it to be like, platoon.
Yeah. No, no.
I wanted to be like Full Metal
yeah.
Jacket type shit. Not the crazy stuff, but I wanted it to be a little bit more squared away. We had a guy, when I went into the police academy, that was had already been at the academy for like 6 weeks, and out of that 6 weeks, 5 weeks of that, he was just sweeping, brooming, not wearing his cap. No drill, no instructors would get on him because he was trying to get himself out. And what a lot of people don't realize is when you're in, they've already spent a lot of money on your ass. They're not just going to let you go.
Yeah.
So they just made him be a janitor, and he was disrespectful and everything else. And I'm like, yeah, this wouldn't have flew in my grandfather's army. You know what I mean?
Yep. No. And we had some like that that were just like I actually this morning before I came here, I was on Facebook and. They had just done a NMCB 11 and 4 they just did a turnover in Okinawa at Camp Shields, and I know that place very very well. I've have about a year on that installation all in all. So seeing some of the pictures of them doing turnover and they right in front of the battalion headquarters, flagpole, yard arms on it. And I seen that and it brought me back to, I think it was a Sunka tour over there. We had some people that they're just shitbags, troublemakers. And when you get in trouble, you go to mass and, you get whatever your punishment is, need to be 45, whatever. You're on restricted duty. Well, while you're on restricted duty, your work never ends.
Right.
And so every day they had to go polish the brass on the flagpole. One morning, get up, come walking out, and you could see it from the Hilton. We called our barracks the Hilton. It definitely was not the Hilton by any means. But we come walking out, and you could see the quarterdeck. And it's kind of weird. Flagpole straight up. Yard arms. Almost like a rainbow. What the? Come to find out, these three were so irritated and they just wanted to be gone. They decided, after they got done polishing, grab the rope, hang on it. And it was the farthest out on each point. They hung on it. They bowed each yard arm. So, that they were gone shortly after that. But it just, just seeing that picture, it brought back, it was like, it was funny, because you walk out and you see it, but it wasn't so funny at the same time because, you just because you didn't want to be there or whatever, you destroy something. Why? Just do your time and get out. Like for us, internet was just kind of, stuff was just kind of rolling around when we were graduating and coming out. So all we had was, if your family member or somebody you knew went into the military, that's what we knew, found out information, what boot camp was like. Today, you got YouTube, you got all this information at your fingers. You can look it up to see if it's something that you would like to do. So these people that go in and then they, get themselves kicked out and then start bitching about, the Navy, the Air Force, whatever. Like, really?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, the information's there. I think it kind of, if you're thinking about going into the military and, you can go on YouTube or whatever and get a good hard look at it and say to yourself, well, is that for me or if it's not for me? Because to your point, like when we were in and we didn't have any real information other than what our recruiters told us the first night.
And they told us to,
Oh, my recruiters.
They were so honest.
I got 2 vehicles. I got a hot tub. It's great, man.
Yeah. My bank account's fat. I'm living like a millionaire.
The first night in the bunks at boot camp, dudes are crying. I'm like, wow. See, if those guys had the internet, they probably would have said, I'm not gonna do this. But then again, I also think, the military, a boot camp in itself will change a person.
Yes.
The whole point of it is to tear you down and build you back up. And so a lot of those individuals, I think, were positively changed. There is still kind of that Lord of the Flies aspect of boot camp where, some people all of a sudden become a little bit bigger in their shoes than they ought to be. But for the most part, I think it's a life-changing experience, especially when they shave your head and put you in a uniform. Now we're all on the same page.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what money's in your account or anything. It's it doesn't matter where you came from. What you could have came from, the richest person on earth, or you could have been, the poorest person on earth, and we're equal now. We're all the same. And I think that you don't realize it at the time, but I think it's a humbling experience.
No, 100%.
Because it takes a while for some people for it to get through. Like we had this one kid from Wisconsin, and he was a football guy, wrestler, and walked around like a normal chalk. even in, I can do 1,000 push-ups, and it was just like, and it took a little bit, but they humbled him down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that not everybody's going to change at once. Some people are going to react, i.e. cry or whatnot, and then it finally, once you start realizing that, we're all in this together. Doesn't matter. We're all in the same uniform. We're all going through this. We're suffering the exact same.
Right, yeah.
So just let's make the best of it, do what we have to do, and move on. Boot camp. I wouldn't say it was easy. I don't think it was platoon by any means. There might have been a few moments in there that were kind of platoonish.
The only time I got stressed out in boot camp is because we had to fucking learn all kinds of shit, I'm sure it's the same. Like we had, learning the structure, the chain of command, all this stuff. We walked around with a book, and we had to read the book on our own time, or when we were just standing in formation. And then, so the most stressful thing is when the drill instructors were coming down the line and they were skipping or stopping and asking questions, and I'd be like, "Oh, fucking, don't ask me something, because if I don't know, I'm gonna get jacked up right now."
Well, you bring that up, and I actually had a pretty humbling experience. We got back to our ship. That's what they called the barracks. We get back, and I had to stand duty. And so I was up in the front, standing there. Well, people could come in the back, or they could come to the front. And so I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I heard the door from the back. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I turn around and address who's coming. I just, fucked the whole thing up. Royally, I was just horrible. It was a lieutenant. He's like, stop. Just stop. I'm like, oh, I'm shaking. I'm like, I'm about to get my ass chewed because I fucked this up. I'd been in, for a little bit. It'd been, probably 4 weeks in by this point. So I should have had better than what I was at. And he goes, I got a question for you. Yes, sir? He goes, I want to know what the difference between you and me are. Well, you're an officer, sir. You've been in for a few years. He goes, okay. He goes, what if I told you there is no difference between us? He goes, I get up every morning and I put my clothes on the exact same way you do. He goes, I'm just a guy here doing a job that you're learning to do. He goes, I went through the same exact thing that you went through. He goes, but I'm just a regular guy. He goes, that's all I am. He goes, yes, I'm a lieutenant, but I'm still just a regular guy. He goes, why don't you try it again? Like that. Hit it right off. And him doing that,
yeah, not jacking you up.
Yeah, he didn't get, he didn't start screaming at me. He didn't, and he could have screamed at me. He could have maybe do push-ups or, whatever he wanted to do. He had that right to do that. Instead, he took it as a moment of teaching. And, I've carried that with me throughout my life ever since then. When I've come across situations where, one of my guys was doing something stupid and, or not doing what they're supposed to, whatever it was, because there's time we get angry. It's human nature. Whatever's going on in our life kicks off. And I stop and I think back to that. I think back to that lieutenant and what he did. And, take that time to help a person and, get them on the right track. Don't always go right off the bat to scream at somebody, because I think you're not going to get the response that you want. You're not going to get the outcome that you're looking for if you scream at somebody. I think there's a point in time where you have to get, loud with somebody. But I think if you start out with a teaching moment, you're going to get farther with that person than just coming right up and getting right in their face and screaming at them. So that to me was, something that I've tried to carry. Not saying I do it all the time. I do lose my temper, and I think back after it, I'm like, I could have handled that different.
Yeah, hindsight.
So
I get it. So you signed your 5-year contract.
Yep.
And you're off to the races.
Off to the races. Let's see. Did boot camp. That was. It was boot camp. I mean, it wasn't. Like I said, there was. So I'll tell one funny story from boot camp. So I don't know if you guys have people that just go AWOL and take off.
Not in boot camp. We didn't have any like that.
So we had people that would just we had these two guys. I think they had been ASMO'd. I think by the time they got to our thing, it was 4 times.
That's a long time, dude. That's a long.
You would have been simpler just to finish it the first time around.
Yeah.
I mean, you spent more time at boot camp than anything else. Just move on. But anyway, so we had this one kid. He had gone AWOL out of another unit, and he was right there in Chicago, from my understanding. He went home. His mom's like, "Oh, what? I didn't know you had graduated." "Oh yeah, I graduated." He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, what are you doing here?" "Well, I gotta wait to get shipped off to my school." "Oh, okay." Well, this goes on and goes on. Mom's starting to question now. Mom's like, it's been a couple weeks. Why are you still here? You should be, there's no, she doesn't know how the military works, but she's thinking like, hey, what are you doing? So she decides to call up the base. "Hey, my son so-and-so." "Oh yeah, he's AWOL."
Mom just dropping hammer on him. God, dude.
He's in the bedroom, just lounged out. He tells us this whole thing. Tells us everything. He's lounged out in his bed. Here comes the police through the door. Mom escorted him.
Yeah, get him out of here.
Yep.
Square his life away.
Send him right back to.
We did have a few guys that got recycled into our flight that had already been through, 3, 4, 5 weeks, and it was all based on they kept failing the fucking test, to move on to graduation.
Yep.
They felt bad. There was a couple of them that were, I think there was a little bit of a language barrier. We had one guy from Cuba that joined the Air Force so that he could proceed down to get his citizenship eventually. We had a couple guys that were Spanish speaking. It was really hard for them to So, and those are the ones that kept failing the test. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, give these guys a hand here because.
Yeah, because at least they're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying to better themselves. So, we, I don't think we had anything like that. We were one of the first integrated divisions. So we had a female division with our division. So the females were in another barracks.
Yeah.
And
we had that shit too. A lot of guys were getting hit for, hooking up.
Well, we had one guy that was like that. And the idiot was married and had like 2 kids. And I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? But yeah, we had some of those, but it was, I don't know, it really wasn't that hard. We did have, so the platoon style part was we had this, he was a GM, a gunner's mate. He was a chief, I believe. This dude was like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, just ripped. And we did something, I don't know what it was, but we had these tables. We had like 4 of them throughout the entire barracks. Whatever it was we did, he came in, come unglued, and it just tables up in the air. He would just one-handed grabbing these tables, flipping them, shattering chairs, and we're just like, yeah, we don't want to just shut the fuck up and stand here at attention. Don't move. He was screaming. So that was really the only real like platoon kind of thing that we did have where there was some violence involved. Other than that, it wasn't. Actually, when first got there, so I had left. I left Ludington, went down to Lansing. From Lansing, flew over to Chicago. And then it was I don't know, we got there at like 1, 2 in the morning, something like that. And then they started taking us through everything, get our uniforms, get us out of our civilian clothes. We were put into sweatpants and sweatshirts, and we lived in those for, I think it was like 2 weeks nonstop. No laundry, no nothing, just straight down. And I mean, you're just like, oh my God, can I smell any worse right now?
Yeah, I mean,
so
have a smell of their own, dude.
But we go out, we do marches, things like this, and we were just being normal people and talking, and when we were supposed to be quiet and marching, and we didn't really get yelled at. Nothing was really going on. And I'm just like, wow, this is pretty simple. Well, lo and behold, they let you for the first week and something to do that. 1, to get the shit out of your system. 2, they got a plan. And you didn't know that they had a plan. So their plan was, you ended up marching over to medical about week and a half in, whatever it was. March over to medical.
Yeah, dude.
Down the row of hell.
So many fucking shots, bro. Like, do you even know what they put in you?
I have all my shots.
I have a shot record too. It's crazy.
I don't even know I don't even know if our doctors would even know what that is.
I mean, chicken pox, polio, anthrax, hepatitis. I got the list somewhere. I could pull it up. There were so many. And I'm like, why the fuck? Influenza, there was like 8 shots total in a pill. And I can remember, like, everybody was sick.
Yep.
Of course, you put all that shit in your system. And it's like, oh, tetanus was one of them, because you know what? Why not? We're getting all the rest of them. Fuck it.
Yeah. Rabies shot, just everything that there is. It was, you go down that whole island, then you get led into the room, 2 at a time, drop your pants, peanut butter shot. That, the arms, one thing, the peanut butter shot, that was a whole different story.
What's the peanut butter shot? It was something different for us.
Oh.
Is it in your ass?
Yes, it was in your ass.
I don't remember an ass shot.
It's in
good TV. This is good TV.
Yes. It was, oh, God, what? I can't remember the name of it now. I just remembered the peanut butter shot. Because it sucked. It was horrible. Your ass hurt. It was... You ever, when we were kids, punch someone in their ass, kind of play that game where you kind of dead in their ass?
Sure.
Maybe this was just a military thing when you were bored. But you would, you'd kind of like punch them, like,
yeah, I get it.
Thigh or whatever, ass area. It would deaden your leg. You had to march back. Well, lo and behold, you're marching back. You're in pain.
Sure.
Move everything back. Time to turn and make it rain. And it was just hours of calisthenics. That was their plan. You're in pain. You talked all this time. You ran your mouth all this time for this weekend.
Yeah, this is easy.
Yeah, this is all you... Yeah, you didn't know. So,
what was the PT like? I mean, what were you guys doing?
Push-ups, sit-ups, flutter kicks.
Pretty standard.
Standard shit that really, like, probably half of it's not even good for your body. And then on top of it, a lot of the things that we do, they may be good for you, but the bad part is you don't have someone there actually. You just have some guy there, like, hey, this is what you're doing. No one really showing you the proper technique for it. So it's almost like going and doing the bench press and no one's ever shown you how to do a bench press.
Yeah.
It'd be the same fucking thing. Then you end up wrecking yourself because of that. So it was the all the same shit that everybody gets to do. Flutter kicks and burpees.
What about running?
Oh yeah, running. Yes, running. Running was the greatest thing on earth. And then we had to our final evolution before we graduated. Because again, I was a Seabee in a fleet world. So we had to go to a ship drill, and so you ended up having to fight a fire and do all this shipboard stuff.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which, I mean, if that's where you're gonna go.
I always thought, like, in the Navy, boot camp was you were in the fucking water all the time swimming.
No, we did have to do a swim thing. It was funny as could be. You could definitely tell the city kids,
sure,
to everybody else, because we come into the pool area there, and sit down on the bleachers and everything. And we had, for our instructors, we actually had some Navy SEALs that were there. One, they were looking for potential people that wanted to go try their psychoticness. Two, they were there to teach us swimming and everything like that. So, who here's, knows how to swim? It's like half a dozen hands raise up. Then you're like, how does no one know how do you not know how to swim? Like, we live in a state surrounded by water and lakes. Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, living up here, I mean, what do you do all summer? You go to the lake and swim.
Yeah.
You don't think about Detroit and Grand Rapids and all these other areas where there is,
Right.
So yeah, that was funny. Let's see, did that. Got done with boot camp. I mean, I could tell you some other stupid shit that happened there that was funny. But went to Fort Lost in the Woods, or Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, for my schooling.
How long was that?
That was 6 weeks for that. The funny part about that, I get done with graduation, and as soon as we got done with our graduation, some of the people that graduated, the schools just across from boot camp. Mm-hmm. So some people stay right there and they just go across.
Yeah.
And then other people, their schools were somewhere else, and they weren't leaving right away, and their family was there, so they had a little bit of time to spend with their family. So we got done. They're handing tickets out, and we all go get on the bus and head over to the airport and do that. Well, I'm kind of helping some of the guys out and everything get to their flights, and mine wasn't. I looked at it, said 9. It's like, all right, well, man, that's kind of late, 9 o'clock at night, and just hanging around, watching everybody leave. Well, finally, it's getting near that time, so I go to where my gate's at. I go up. I'm like, I don't see, my flight. The lady grabs my ticket, looks at it. She goes, "Yeah, that was 9 this morning."
I was just gonna say it was AM.
I didn't look at that part, I guess. So she ended up. It happened that there was a major storm coming in, and they were literally shutting down airports at that point. She goes, "You got 2 options." She goes, "You can stay here tonight, or I can get you to St. Louis. That's as far as I can get you." All right, I'll go to St. Louis. So flies me to St. Louis. I sleep there in the airport for the night. I go get on this puddle jumper, take that, and I land this, almost kind of like Blackbird Airport, but nothing's around. And as soon as I got off the plane and I come walking up to the desk, lady's like, "Phones are on the wall over there. Pick up whatever one you're a part of, whatever unit part of, and they'll go right to their quarterdeck." Sure as shit. Wall of phones, Marines, Army, Air Force, everybody right there. Coast Guard was the only one that wasn't on there. Went up, picked it up. A few minutes later, they come. Lo and behold, I'm on the base. Flies right in.
Oh, you didn't?
No, Fort Leonard Wood's so huge that it's a boot camp for the Army. 2, it's the artillery training for the Army also. So took us there, and come to find out I didn't have to be there, because once I got there, they looked at my orders. They're like, "What are you here? Why don't you just go home?" Like, we're not classing up until after the holiday, because they literally graduated us like a week prior than what we were supposed to, because it was right around Christmas. So everybody was going on Christmas leave and this and that, so they weren't going to have any classes, and so they're like, "Well, pretty much just going to be a broom bitch for a few weeks.
I'd have been like, sir, I'm fucking catching a plane and going home.
So, and I wasn't the only one. There was like other guys had gotten there, and it was the same thing. So we pretty much just, went around, cleaned the barracks, did this, did PT, but there was no class work, no nothing, and a lot of stupid TV. You find places to hide and not get caught. So and then they came out. They're like, "Hey, any of you guys want to go home?" Sure, why not? So me and another guy, he was from Indiana, I want to say, and we went over. There was a Greyhound bus station on base. We went over there. We got a ticket for a Greyhound bus.
Oh, fuck, dude. I've been on Greyhound. I took Greyhound from here to North Dakota, and it took 4 days, and it was the worst experience of my life. There's some fucking wild shit that happens on a bus and at the stations. Especially when you get dropped off at a station at fucking 2 in the morning and the bus isn't going anywhere until 6.
Yeah. So we have that in common.
Jesus Christ.
See, I mean, we can make it to St. Louis in, a few hours. Probably, I think it's like a 12-hour drive to St. Louis, something like that. Or to Leonard Wood, I think it's like a 12-hour drive or something. It's not horrible. No. Greyhound ends up, they don't take a main route. They find every back road, dirt road, 2-track they possibly can. They stop in places where the bar, the post office, grocery store, and a house is all one. And you're just like, what lives here? Like, who lives here? So did that, got back here. I was here for a few, I think like a week or two, and then took Greyhound back down, which was another stupid mistake. So I get down to St. Louis, and how this worked, I don't know. Literally, the guy that I had, we're both in A school together, and we rode up here. Just so happened we ran into each other on the way back in St. Louis. How it worked, I don't know, but we ran into each other. So we're sitting next to each other, we're talking. Talk about Greyhound and weird things happening on there. So we're on Greyhound, we're minding our own business. We don't want to talk to anybody, nothing. Well, there's these 2 guys behind us. One guy goes, "You guys in the military?" Well, you don't want to be rude, Yeah, yes, we're in the military. Oh. Yeah, we just got out of prison. Oh. Well, good luck to you guys. At that point, we're just trying to... You guys ever try butt stuff?
What the fuck? What?
I don't... You're like, what? Yeah, we do that in the prison all the time. And I'm just like, oh my God. Oh God. Like, what? Yeah, so Greyhound is off my list to ever do ever again.
Yeah, the only reason why I took it is I didn't have any money.
Well, that was
by the time
pretty
I got out
much...
of boot camp, I think I had $1,000 maybe in my account. And, I was spending time at home before going to North Dakota. I'm like, well, for a couple $100 versus, flying or whatever. I didn't have a vehicle at the time. I'd given my truck to my brother before I left. So I'm like, I'll figure it out when I get there. So I guess I'm taking a bus. Yeah,
that was the same exact thing. I was like, well, just, figure it out. And I mean, I never thought Greyhound was that. It's insane. Nuts. So did A school. A school was quite interesting.
So what was that like for you? What was it? I mean, aside from the classroom and learning all this stuff, I mean, you're still physically training and all that?
Yeah, you would still physically train. You would get up, you would do your PT, everything like that, and then you would go to whatever class. So they had, we had different phases that you would go to, and one was I think it was a scraper dozer phase, and then we had excavation. Our first one was forklifts, so we had like different forklifts. So we had rough terrain forklifts, regular, your warehouse forklifts. You had to learn how to, operate them, and I mean, a lot of the stuff was just kind of, you're like, this is dumb, but you had to do it. And I think that was also the first place that I ever seen a chick literally take a huge dip in her lip. I was in shock.
Yeah, there's something sexy about that. Some ladies, I knew a couple that would put a big three-finger dip in back in the day.
You didn't let her, like, if she came and said, hey, do you have any? Like, because they weren't allowed, really, the Army wasn't allowed to have tobacco products. We were allowed. Yeah, they weren't allowed to.
I started smoking because of the Air Force. It was either take a smoke break or pick up cigarette butts. I chose the latter.
I started chewing before that. Actually, when I was working in a factory, I was tired one day. Guy's like, here, try this. It was Kodiak wintergreen.
Oh, fuck, you went like right into the harsh.
Oh, yeah, he gave me the harshest.
Fine cut.
Oh, God.
Your fucking mouth.
Oh, man. I'll tell you. Ooh, that I don't know what it's like to do cocaine.
That shit'll zing you.
But
if you're not
holy cow, that picked me right up, and right there I was just like done. But yeah, I chewed.
I was a skull long cut guy.
I've tried pretty much about everything and anything. I like, if someone opens a wintergreen or any
that smell, dude. Like
I get sick.
Do you really?
I get sick.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm always like,
no, I don't know what I used to like. That's what I started with.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I had a friend of mine was Copenhagen snuff, and I could never do it. I don't know how he did it. I couldn't do it.
That's the shit, yeah.
No, it's Copenhagen snuff is like, it's literally like sand particles almost. It's worm dirt. So you have to pack that stuff super tight, and then you're like three fingering to try to get a normal dip out of this thing.
Ugh.
He would do it all the time. I could never get a pinch out of it, and finally one day I was able to get a pinch, and like I was like, oh, this stuff is fucking awesome. So I started doing that, and then after that, I got a smell of wintergreen. I was just like, and I was just like, oh. So if anybody opens a can like that up around me, I'm sick. So then, did all the phases. We had, so one phase where I had trouble with, because I was never really good with math and numbers and trying to figure some of that stuff out, was that portion when we had to do some math, a lot of like upper math of figuring things that I just was not. So that was a little hard for me to get through that. But so that section of everything, we were doing surveying. So we were learning how to survey, because that's the thing with the Seabees. So like, I was an equipment operator, but I could be anything. So if I was on the project and all they needed was me to do dirt work, and then after that, there was no need for me to do any operating. I was now an electrician, a steel worker, a builder. I mean, whatever it was, I did.
Great skills to have.
Yeah, it was. It was awesome. So that classroom right behind us was the barracks for the Army that was going through basic. Well, they would get done with PT every day, And the instructors had this just spot on. Yep, about that time. Turn around. Smoke break, guys. They had the smoke pit right in the back, right where they all sat after they got done with PT to cool down. They can't have tobacco products. It was straight. And they literally were like, you guys have to stand and look their direction.
That's wild, bro.
So you sit there and just screw with them. It was fun. Other than that, I mean, it wasn't. There was some crazy stuff that did go on in A school. One of the things. So we had this kid from Sacramento, and I think he tried too many things when he was younger.
Gotcha.
Because he was a space cadet. How he made it, I don't know how he made it even. So we finally got, because when you first get there, you can't leave base.
Yeah.
You can go to the exchange, things like that, but you can't leave base. You can't wear civilian clothes. But once you get to phase 3, you can wear civilian clothes, you can leave base. And I mean, honestly, outside of Fort Leonard Wood, at that time there wasn't much really to go for, unless you want to go down to the strip club to see all the single mothers. That was
no shade.
That was about
Everybody's
it.
got to make a buck.
That was about it. The funny part about the strip clubs, though, so you can't buy alcohol in their strip clubs. You had to literally, so you had to go over.
BYOB.
You had to go over here to the package store, buy beer from there, which the same people own the same thing.
Sure.
Buy it from there, then you go in there, and they give you a bucket with ice, and you put your cold ones in that way. But you can't buy it in the strip club. It was the strangest thing I'd ever seen at the time. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah, we had a blast, dude. All of my training was in Texas, from boot camp to tech school, ground combat skills, police academy, all right there. And there's all kinds of shit going on there. So as soon as you go off base, you got the river walk, you got bars, restaurants. I mean, there's all kinds of shit going on. It was.
You're lucky.
That shit was fun.
Freaking Air Force gets the lucky.
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of tech schools right there on the base. Not very many.
Well, one of our
because we had Army, Marines, everything was down there.
I think I want to say the SWs are one of the Seabees A schools is down in Texas. I can't remember now what one it is. I want to say it was like SWs and possibly the CEs, construction electricians. SWs were steel workers. But I can't, I'll probably be wrong on that and someone will correct me. Did A school. I mean, there was some fun things. Learned a lesson. Don't get a tattoo and go through A school at the same time. It sucks. I went and got my back done.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was horrible. I would go on a Friday, get it done, and then I had to find. I had this one female that she was nice enough. She would put lotion on my back and everything. So then, come Monday, had a PT.
Oh God, dude, that had to be brutal. God, t-shirt sticking to your back.
Oh yeah,
Fuck.
Yeah. It was horrible. I think some of the tattoo was on the shirts.
I believe it.
So yeah, that was kind of a dumb thing to do, but I mean, hey, if you can't take some pain, then, fuck it. So then, finished high school, went to my first, we go out to we go to our first battalion, but before we get to our first battalion, technically we have to go through a ski bat class.
What's that?
So pretty much weapons and tactics,
Gotcha. Yep.
Everything like that. Because
that's fun shit.
We're construction, but we're also a fighting force. So go through that. You're in your battalion, and you're pretty much at that point in time you start, learning more things, and actually everything that you learn at A school, you're told to throw it out the window, and we're going to reteach you here anyways. Yeah, it was, but I had some really great teachers in the battalion. I had one guy, Patsy, Pat Harden. That dude was awesome. Took me under his wing. He showed me how to operate, like the actual way to operate. The one day we took a grader, and I would have never thought this in a million years. He's like, we got to grade the side of this hill. I'm like, how are we going to do that? He's like, well, we're going to take this blade and we're going to put it at almost 90 degrees. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't. We put that blade at like a 75-degree angle and graded, and
wow.
It was crazy. So yeah, learned a lot from him, and then pretty much did a battalion, deployed.
Yeah. So what do your deployments look like when you're working on stuff? Building.
So usually what we would do is, like when we deployed over to Okinawa, we would do work on bases. So there would be projects already set, and there were projects that like 2 or 3 battalions before us, or we could have even started it back one of the other rotations, and it's still going. Government work.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. The next batch comes in and they're like, what the fuck did these guys do? We got to start over.
Yeah. Oh, it was. So we'd build seawalls and things like that.
Okay. So like for these builds, it's interesting because I had, Dwight Silva.
Yep.
Fucking shout out Dwight. Great dude.
He's amazing.
Super good people. What he does, contract builds, I'm going to get this wrong, but for the military, for government, would that be something, maybe not him per se or his group or whatever, but is there like a civilian contract crew that comes in and says or develops like, hey, this is what we're gonna build, these are the plans, and then they lean on you guys as like the construction crew?
So we have NAVFAC. I'm not even gonna try to, because it's facilities more or less. So it's pretty much a bunch of civilians, a lot of it's retired.
Sure.
Military, and a lot of the stuff goes through that, and a lot of these projects have been in the works for years. It's not like some base calls up that says, hey, I need a new bathhouse. Okay, hey, this battalion's coming there. They'll break ground when they get there. It's years in the works. There was projects I worked on that I think a few of them were probably 8-10 years. Just because, red tape, that, and bunch of just a lot of things don't. We still have a lot of other things that we have to do other than just build when we're deployed. So we still have to keep up on our tactics. So we end up doing field exercises. We still do a lot of training and everything like that. And not everybody's on a project. They're, like our mechanics, our CMs, they'll be in, so we have Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. So Alpha is your EOs and CMs. And so your construction mechanics will be working on all of our equipment. And you have a heavy shop, you have a light shop. So light shops, pickup trucks, things like that. Heavy shop is your dozers and everything on that aspect. And that's, when they deploy, that's what they pretty much do, is work on all the equipment that either was broke before we got there or broke when we had started doing something. And then your builders are doing, either concrete work or whatever it may be. Electricians doing whatever they do, which is really nothing. And then we have our engineering aides, so they'll be out there doing the same thing that Spicers does, surveying the project, everything like that. Yeah, so that's, that's a normal, what a normal kind of deployment would be is, and you're working pretty much 7 days a week. It's, you don't have much downtime.
Oh, fuck, dude. I had 3 days on, 6 days off.
Yeah, we didn't. So you would end up with everything that was going on. So you would go PT in the morning, go to your job, whatever it may be. If it was, you're going out to a project site, you would go get on a bus. They'd take you out to the project site, or whatever it was. And then you would do that, and then you get done with, your 14, 15 hour day. Then you're going, mustering up, standing duty. And then if you weren't doing any of that, you were, studying up on quals. And we have a thing that's called a SKUs pin, so Seabee Combat Warfare pin. So then, if you weren't doing any of that stuff, you're going to classes to learn everything for that, to be able to go to board and get your SKUs pin. So you were quite busy. I mean, we did have downtime. We did have, don't get me wrong, we did have a lot of time to be able to go out in town, do things. There is no renting cars or anything like that. It's, we have a Liberty bus, would take you out. We had different stops where it would go and it could drop you off. And if that wasn't the case, then you just pretty much walk to wherever you want to get to.
Did you have to go to the desert for any deployments?
So let's see. So we ended up, we had a feeling something was coming. After our Okinawa deployment, we came back and we did our home port, and then our next deployment site was Rota, Spain. And so I was a part of a unit called Air Det. So pretty much we were an advanced party. So if the unit got a call about something, we had 48 hours to mount out and go to said location, get everything set for the advanced party of the battalion. So we get to Rota, Spain, and we do a turnover with the other battalion, and something just kind of seemed off. We thought.
What year was this?
It was 2002.
Yeah. Okay.
We felt something was kind of off when we got there. There was this barracks, but nobody was in this barracks, and you could see a bunch of like boxes in there and stuff like that, but no one could go in there. And so we get done, we do turnover, other battalion leaves, and our entire battalion's there. And when we did, they called it beep. So when you did a beep and it was all done, you turned over with the other battalion, we would have a thing called a beep party. And it was just pretty much a straight get trashed. I mean, we literally, this was the last beep party I did. We had a dresser loader, 2.5 cubic yard bucket filled, just filled completely of alcohol. Ice and alcohol. And then on top of that, everything else that everybody else brought. And I mean, it was, when you got done with one of them, you were, and everybody just, it just ended up, everybody was just relaxed.
Yeah, sure. I bet.
You can't do those anymore. Not like that. At least from what I understand. They're not the same anymore. But anyways, started our routine, normal deployment. And all of a sudden one day we come out, we do our muster and everything, and we get done, we get the word passed, and they're like, the chief comes out, he's like, after we get done here, we're going over to these barracks. It's like, as soon as we walked in, we knew. Deserts. It was all desert gear that was in there. They knew ahead of schedule that we were going. So we happened to be, we were supposed to be the first battalion to actually break the berms to go into Iraq. That's what we had been sent over for. We were setting up for that. Lo and behold, we didn't do that. But we went over to Kuwait and Ali Al Salim. You freaking guys.
Hotels, dog.
Oh my God. So we get there. We get there, they're taking us around, and there's all these trailers lined up. I mean, it's almost like going to a campground.
Yeah.
So we're going through, and here's this fence. We see all these people out there, no shirts on, bikinis. We're like, what in the is that? Oh, that's the water suppression tank or something like that. It's some word for it. Yeah, fucking Air Force swimming pool. We never got there. No, we were never allowed to go there.
That was always a running joke. Like the Marines in the Army were always like, we're out in tents in the heat, and the Air Force is in condos or hotels.
Yeah. So we ended up, we went, you guys were up on this hill. We went down, went through this other gate where all these bunkers were all bombed out from the Gulf War. Went down. Yeah, that's where you guys are sleeping, out in this desert. Put your own tents up. So we built our own camp down there. And, we pretty much stayed down below. And, the only time we came up was the galley. Because at that time, it took a while for us to have a chow hall set up. But, so even for the Seabees, but mainly this is a fleet thing, if you're ever on a ship and all of a sudden one day you're getting steak and lobster,
yeah, you're going somewhere.
Bad shit's about to happen.
Yeah.
So we had been there for a little bit and everything, and we go up to the chow hall and they're serving steak and lobster, and we're like, oh shit, what's going on? What's happening? No, this is normal. This is like a normal thing the Air Force gets every Thursday or Friday, whatever it was. It was steak and lobster Thursday or whatever. Near beers, Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Yeah. I'm not making this up. I'm dead serious. I'm like, fucking goddamn Air Force. Oh my God. I will say though, the food was great. Breakfast, oh my God. We're not allowed to order, in the battalions, at our chow halls or anything like that. We can't order. You're getting scrambled eggs or, No, walking through. Hey, what do you want? Oh, I want an omelet. Well, what kind? Everything. All right. Holy shit. How much bacon you want? I want bacon. As much as you can give me. It's like, no problem. Like, oh my God, this is great. And their omelets, just... They were the best omelet that I've probably ever had, hands down. It was just delicious. So did that. We built up our base there, and then we ended up moving from there. Well, our main battalion stayed there, and then we ended up moving up, and we went up to Camp 93 and started building that up. We were getting closer to the border. We destroyed so much shit, so we were trying, because like I said, we were supposed to be busting the berms. So we had these D7 dozers, and we literally were battle offloading these. Yeah. And so we were destroying trailers. We were, trying to find the quickest way to get these things off the trailers. And there was one day. We had they were trying to, I think, pull this dozer up on the trailer, do something. Yeah, cable snap, chain snap, straight through the fucking window, just shattered it. Luckily, nobody was in the cab, because it would have taken them out. It would have killed them. And then we had another time where we had gotten a hold of a D8 high track with a ripper set up on it, and they went to load that up, and I don't know exactly what happened. The person that was operating it got scared, stopped. So somebody else jumped in to correct their mistake, and luckily they were wearing their seatbelt, because it went right off the trailer.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so there was carnage left and right on that. But I was there for the shock and awe. The supposed shock and awe.
Still fucking rad.
Yeah, it was. So we were there for that, but we ended up, they had, just before all the shit was supposed to kick off, the Army had ended up, somehow they got a hold of, I think they were like D8s or D11 high tracks, I got pictures of these things, like all super armored up. They're almost like the tank or the dozer from Colorado there, old boy that destroyed Colorado. Yeah, it was almost like Killdozer. They're just, but they were all tan and everything. So the Army had gotten those, and they decided to use those instead. And then they figured we had been there long enough, so they pulled us back, and they were getting ready to send us back stateside. So they sent another battalion forward to go in. Then after that, it just happened. I never ended up going into Iraq or Afghanistan. Just how every time I picked up for orders, it was just the luck of the draw that I didn't go to a unit that was going over, and so I never ended up going over to either one of those. There's a part of me that sucks. I mean,
I think when you're in, you're kind of.
You talk to a lot of people.
Yeah, you're kind of in your gun ho, and you're like, yeah, fuck, it would have been. I never touched those spaces, so, and I feel like that I'm glad I didn't. But there was a couple of times where it's like, oh, we're getting ready to go. Like I got on a C-130 and was fucking jacked and ready to go, and then at last minute orders got turned around, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not going. But. Yeah, it's still. I'm glad I didn't ever have to see some of the shit that my buddies have seen, because, I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's that's a good part. It's like, we have that coffee hour every Saturday.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Come down there for that.
Well, actually, I'd like to cordially invite you to it.
Cool.
Come down. Come down this Saturday. So we have it every Saturday. Free coffee, free donuts. We actually added summer sausage and cheese and crackers this year.
Oh, nice.
Trying to do not look healthy by any means, but there was guys that we had that were diabetics or this or that, and they couldn't have donuts. So we decided to do something different and do something new. But we've grown since we started it. We only had a few people show up, and now, there's times that we have almost standing room only, completely run out of chairs. And then last year we started something new. We call it the Mug Club. So kind of like your, breweries and things like that. We do the same thing. Only difference is there's no dues, there's nothing. Just make a coffee cup, and it has whatever you want on it. So it can have your name, it can have, Air Force, whatever, and it hangs on the wall in the back. And then every Saturday when you come in or whenever, grab your coffee cup, and you're a part of something. So it's it's to build a camaraderie.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then it's yours. So if you move or whatever it may be, it's your coffee cup. No cost, no nothing, just your coffee cup. So it's, and we've had we've had a couple people throughout the time on Facebook Messenger, this or that, and they think it's about sharing war stories. It's not. There's not a unless you talk about stupid shit that we did.
Yeah.
There's no war stories. You better have thick skin and be able to handle your own, because we do have guys in there that don't hold back, and just are brutal on things.
It must have been the Marines.
One of them actually is. So one of them. So Dwight, a friend of his, Nate Moore. They both served together. So
I know Nate. Yeah.
Nate has a witty sense of humor. So whenever he decides to show up, when he's not flying rich millionaires or whatever he does. So him and a few others, they have, some quite witty personalities. And, there has been people that have, not come back because apparently they just can't handle it. But then we have others that come back all the time. But there's no war stories at all. There's nothing like that. It's just funny, stupid shit.
Why don't we jump on that real quick? How did Third Coast Boutique come about? First, before you get into that, do you do anything else since you retired?
Yeah, I actually have a full-time job.
Okay.
So that's one of the funny parts is that I'm probably the dumbest businessman that there is.
I don't know. I know quite a few.
Yeah, but they probably make money. I don't. So this business, the money it makes goes right into it.
Sure.
It's there is nothing from that business goes into my pocket. It goes into that business. It pays for that. In fact, during this time of year, I'm actually paying out of my pocket for a lot of it, which I don't mind. I don't care, because I will do whatever I have to do so that I don't have to carry your fucking casket. We've had enough of that, especially with our time. For whatever reason, we have this global war on terror, Iraqi freedom, all these guys, and I don't know what the answer is to truly curb what is going on.
Are you talking about suicide?
Yep.
Yeah. That's a wild stat, bro.
But this right here is my way of trying to stop it, or at least curb it. All right, so how it got started, real quick. I got out, before I got out, probably like 10 years prior to that, I had started doing some woodworking. Making some things for, guys that were either retiring or transferring, whatnot. Well, fast forward, I'm getting near the time of getting out. I don't know what I want to do. For 20 years, I was going 100 miles an hour. I want to take a break. I want to slow down. I had 3 goals when I retired. Not get a goddamn haircut for a year. Not shave for a fucking year. And not get a goddamn job. The haircut and shaving kind of lasted. This is probably the longest I've not shaved. Because it gets to a point, it gets annoying, and I'm just like, I
get to that point.
I'm like, it's enough, and I cut it off. I've been kind of trying to push it this year. Keep saying trying to make it through the winter, and then, but who knows? There might be a day that I'm just barefaced again. The haircut that lasted. Didn't get a haircut for a year. The job portion that didn't last. You can't go from 100 miles an hour to
I agree with that.
Stop.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I tried it. It didn't work. My wife was about to kill me because I came home and I started tearing this apart, tearing that apart. I would jump from room to room, and I'd never really finish a room. So she finally had enough of that, and she's like, you need to find something,
do something
constructive and not the house. So I was like, all right. So got a job. Wasn't really sure how that was gonna go, because again, we have a certain way of talking to each other. Civilian side of the house, I worked in the civilian world 20 plus years ago. I haven't worked there since.
Right.
So I don't know how civilian world works. So I'm like, this is going to be kind of entertaining. How do I go about doing this? Luckily, I was able to find something that was close. Dark humor, talk shit, and don't really get too offended. So it kind of works in with what I did, but there's still a piece missing, and that's the brotherhood. You will not find that out here.
No
matter what. So anyways, I fell into the YouTube trap and was seeing all these people, making cutting boards and this and that. And I'm like, oh, I'm back in a small town. I'm like, yeah, I should be able to hit all the realtors up and, do something. Yeah, nope. Every realtor just shut the door in my face. Nothing. Nope. I'm like, who are these people going to? They're finding these realtors and they're, selling cutting boards to them, and, because realtors give gifts when you buy a house.
Yeah, I'm tracking.
I'm like, who are these people find? Like, are you paying these realtors to buy your cutting? What are you doing? So it wasn't working, and I still wanted to continue doing woodworking and doing those sort of things. Tried the Etsy thing. I mean, ever swinging dick on Etsy makes cutting boards, and most of them, they sit there and they're not looking at a profit. They're just, oh, I made this cutting board, sell it for $5. It's like, well, you got more than that in the wood and in your time, your tools. Like, you're not making anything. Like, why are you even doing this? But
yeah, when did you start looking at Etsy? Because one of the things about Etsy too now is it's kind of infiltrated with that cheap shit from overseas, and it's more. It used to be a place where like regular people could sell their home crafts and stuff like that, and it was fair pricing or whatever. And then like the like. Fucking China is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they come in and they make the same shit really cheap, and then they sell it on Etsy really cheap, and it's cutting it out. And there was like a whole thing about Etsy and how it's more like Amazon now.
Yeah, so it was 2000 or 2020, 2021 roughly, and it just it wasn't going really, so I was just like, yeah.
Good time to try to start a business during the fucking brain freeze.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, so my wife, she had something going prior to me retiring. She had started a mobile notary business. So she was doing that my last couple years in. And so she had an office over here right next to Harold's, right where High Viz Tattoo or whatever it was. So she had that. Well, lo and behold, fucking COVID, everything, and then rates and, things just went to shit. And the funny part is like, everybody wants a piece of their pie, but the notaries don't get shit. Realtor gets, big old commission and all the stuff that they have to do. And it's like, here's a penny for you. And it's like, you want me to drive clear across the state and you want to pay me $100? Like,
yeah.
So it just got to that point. So she was, getting to the point of like, hey, I'm just going to, get rid of this. And I had been toying around with the idea of starting a business. And so I was just like, well, what would I do? What would be useful? And then I started thinking, I'm like, well, I knew when I was active, there was more active duty guys that, made things. So there's got to, if I'm still doing it, even when you get out, you probably still do it. So I started thinking about it. Well, at that point in time, Eric Sullivan was the VSO. And I, got real good with him, because he had worked on a lot of my stuff from my disability and everything. So I get a hold of him and I'm like, hey, got a question for you. I said, do you know of anybody that, any veterans that make things? He's like, why? I'm like, well, I said, I'm thinking about starting a store that's nothing but veteran stuff. Just all veteran stuff. He's like, well, I make birdhouses. I'm like, all right, well, cool. Let's 2 of us now. We got something. Yeah. We need more though. So he was like, hey, he goes, put on a Facebook post. He goes, and try that way, see what you get. And he goes, I know some people. And so from there, we just kind of, started, getting a few people, and we turned her old office into Third Coast Boutique. And the bad part was the location.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Washington there's never been a real solid. I shouldn't say solid. That's a poor choice of words. There's never been a business that's had a good opportunity on Washington because it's not a main thoroughfare. Downtown goes east and west. Having to make even just that little turn that way, people just don't do it unless they're going home already.
Yep. Going home or, with the brewery being there. But the bad part is that's where they stopped.
That's where they stopped, yeah.
It's a brewery.
Yeah.
And so, that first year was rough. At trying to, make a go of it, and, what can we do? Looking at other options, because the thing, so we're kind of like, where, so you rent a space, but we try to keep it as low as we possibly can, sure. Because the whole purpose of it is for a veteran to make money, not to lose money. So that's where, I put my own money in, try to, I'd, pay for a lot of, utilities or rent out of my own pocket. So that's where I say I'm probably the dumbest businessman there is, because I have a business, but yet I'm paying out of my own pocket to keep it going. So I knew I needed to get downtown. I'd walk up and down, I'd look, and it was just like so many people think they have gold. And they don't realize that you as a business, we only have a certain amount of time a year where we make money. And after that, winter's a dead time. So when I know everybody has bills. You own in a building, you got, things that you have to pay for and everything, so you have to make something. I get that. But it's just like, you're looking and like, man, it's like, yeah, there's no feasible way that, I could do this. And kept looking, and so seeing Jerry's sign, At that time, Tavo knew him. Tavo, and so Tavo's like, hey, I know who they are. We'll get a hold of them and everything. And so we kind of ambushed Jerry and Mary and everything. And we didn't think it was going to work because we had, he's like, well, email and everything like that. And I was up front forward with them about what we did and everything like that. And we had another place we had looked at, and it was just, it just was not going to work. The person that has the building and just, it just was not going to be a working relationship by any means. Sure. So, come to find out, Jerry wasn't too technical savvy with things, and he had reached out to City to Shore and got hooked up, and that's how we ended up working the whole deal out. And from there we moved in down here, and then something we do is like our coffee. So he's actually an Air Force veteran. He's from Schwartz Creek, Michigan. He was enlisted, and then he turned around and went over to the dark side. He retired out in Virginia. Him and a couple other buddies had started Pale Horse Coffee, and so we wholesale through him, and that is a way for us to be able to cover some of the costs of utilities and rent and everything like that. We buy coffees, Grill Your Ass Off, Army veteran, we get his stuff in, General's Hot Sauce, same with them. So we end up looking for veteran businesses out there, or a veteran that makes things outside, and then we will wholesale it in so that we can cover costs and keep costs low for our local veterans. And we always, no matter what, we will make room to bring local veteran in. We actually have 2 active duty. One right now, Fred Priest, he's actively deployed. So he's got his stuff in there, and then we have our honey that we get from down in Hart. He's active duty also, so we do have a couple active duty.
That's sick.
In our store. So we always, we try to do fundraisers. We try to do things that to give back to the veteran community, to help out however we can. We had a veteran last year. She ended up losing her car, and we did a fundraiser for her, and just having the coffee hour and everything. That's another thing with the coffee hour. We're able to network with each other, and hey, do you know so and so, or do you know somebody that could help me with this? And we end up being able to help out veterans because you might have some kind of knowledge, or you can reach out to somebody that possibly could help with this situation. So that's one of the good things with the coffee hour, is that we can do networking and help out our veterans that way. So and just we have a few things up our sleeves that we want to kind of add into this year. I'm not sure if it will happen or not, but kind of stay tuned to it. Never know. Might happen. Might be. I've had it for a few years. I've been thinking about it, and just not really sure. I kind of get sidetracked with a lot of other things. So a lot of times I got to kind of just be sat down and be like, hey, we got to do this.
Well, I do want to talk about one thing. I have a hard out here at noon, but I do want to. Were you an Eagle Scout?
No.
I thought for some reason you were in the Scouts.
I was in the Scouts.
Okay.
You are correct. Yes, I was in the Scouts. No, I made it up to Boy Scouts. And then I had ended up, I don't know, I got out. We went to a camp outing. My grandfather, again, was in scouting way back when it first had started and stuff, back with the Indians and things.
I mean, I find out a lot of guys in the military, were at least in some form of the Scouts.
Yep. So I ended up doing it, and then we had did a scouting trip. I want to say it was up in Traverse. It was a camp out, something, and it just. I wasn't having fun doing it, and there were kind of some, I don't want to say political factors involved, but it was kind of favoritism on, some kids were getting some things that other kids weren't, and, my grandfather had seen it. It was kind of, going a little sideways from what he, when he was a scoutmaster at one time. And so I was just like, I said, hey, I don't want to do this. And he's like, hey, that's your choice, your decision. You don't want to do this, by all means, you can. And so I ended up getting out of it.
I wanted to be a Boy Scout so bad, dude. I was in the Cub Scouts, started off in that, whatever that was. And we did the first, 2 or 3 times we went, we made fucking bird feeders out of milk jugs, and I looked at my dad. I'm like, this is retarded. I don't want to do this. I want to go shoot bows and arrows and go fishing and fucking camping and tie knots and shit.
Yeah.
And I think it was just a bunch of parents got together and we had this thing, and it was like, this isn't what I want. And I was actually looking for a Boy Scout troop recently, because I was like, I could really lean on them for volunteers for my events, and I could donate some money to them, but there isn't anything around here anymore.
No, God, I don't even hear anything. And I mean, I think the Boy Scouts should have been left the Boy Scouts. The girls, they had their, and I mean, not trying to be sexist or anything like that, but the girls had the Girl Scouts. I don't understand why the Boy Scouts had to let girls into the Boy Scouts.
It's a rabbit hole we could go down.
And like I said, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, and I'm not, I'm not trying to start any.
Yeah, sure.
Anything on your podcast of people getting upset because I said something like that. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think they should have stayed. And it's just like the military. I don't think women, need to be a SEAL or a Ranger or Delta Force. I just don't think that that's where they need to be. Not saying that there aren't women out there that can do it. I mean, there's women out there that, I wouldn't go toe-to-toe with.
Yeah, there's definitely some bad bitches out there for sure.
But I think there's certain things that stay over there, do that, and we'll do this. So I'll get out of that rabbit hole before that gets.
That's all right. I mean, my wife tells me every day, I really appreciate the fact that you go out and secure the perimeter for the family, because I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing right there. So, and before this kind of goes any farther, so maybe I'm the first guest. I don't know. Here is something for you.
Dude. That's fucking cool, man. That's really cool. Thank you. Wow.
So there you go.
That's awesome. Well, I'll bring this.
So now you have a coffee mug.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Super sick, dude.
So now you got
toilet out of the way.
Now you got a coffee mug for for yourself, and that's one of the things is that I doing what we've done, the coffee hour and things like that. I've come across guys that you did 4 years, 5 years, whatever, and I don't say don't embrace it, but you just kind of like, that was a past, or I only did, I just did this, I didn't go, and trust me, like the conversation earlier, talking to some of the guys there, that were in Afghanistan, were in Iraq, and it's like, I can't really relate because I wasn't in Iraq. I wasn't, I didn't go to Baghdad. I didn't go to Ramadi and, a lot of the places these guys did. And I didn't see some of the stuff that these guys did, which one side of the coin, it's a blessing. The other side of the coin, for me, I beat myself up a little bit for it. But something I have found doing this coffee hour is I got guys that, I only did 4 years. I was just a cook. I was just this. I was just that. I didn't deploy. I didn't do this. That's fine. But here's the thing. What you did, for whatever reason, doesn't matter if you went to go to college, get a GI Bill. Doesn't matter if you went to, get out of your crappy life to get yourself out of going to jail. I don't care. The thing is you had the fortitude to go sign a contract that none of us read the damn thing.
No.
We signed a contract, and that contract payable up to our life. Because you don't know. Like you said, there was times that you were getting on a plane and you thought you were going. You don't know.
Right.
But you had the fortitude to go to the recruiter, sign that blank piece of paper, that contract, and go do something greater than a lot of people do. You weren't going to do something for yourself. You were doing something for the greater good of our country. So stop sitting here and thinking that what you did wasn't something. Because there's a lot of people that have not had that fortitude to go sign that contract. They have, they make the stupid comments of, I'd punch the drill instructor out or this or that. You said to hell with it. You went and signed that piece of paper. Own that shit. Own it. Not saying walk around with, the hats and everything like that, but own it. Like, be proud of it, because that's something that so few people actually do. So that is one of the things that I have found over time is that, people are like, well, I didn't do anything. That's not the case. You did. So stop saying you didn't do anything and just own that shit and be proud of it. Be proud that you're a veteran. Be proud of, that you swept a floor or whatever it is, or you guarded a nuclear, hole in the ground. Whatever it was, be proud of that. Because you did it.
You did it.
So, that's I guess that's the best. So like I said at the beginning of this, I'll tell you my last duty station I did. So my last duty station, while you guys were suffering with snow and everything like that, I was hanging out somewhere really cool, somewhere super expensive, and beautiful beaches, beautiful water, barbecuing while you guys were freezing in the snow. I was in Hawaii for 3.5 years.
3.5 years?
3.5 years. Shit, I lived in Hawaii. I got my last orders over there with a spec war group. So I went to hang out with the big boys for 3.5 years. And it was the greatest. Like I said, I enjoyed all my time. But that last 3.5 years, that was the icing on the cake for for 20 years of agony. It was great. It was. I got to hang with the big boys. I got to play with the big boys. I got to see what the big boys play with. I got to do things that, few people that are not on the spec war side get to do. So, yeah, and then I got to hang out in, Hawaii, and I got to do what the Air Force does, and go stay in hotels, and on beaches, and have I racked up hotel points because I'm kind of being like the Air Force. Yeah, it was.
What a way to bookend your career.
Yeah, it was awesome. Great. It was great. And then my retirement, I paid an homage to my grandfather because he had passed away. He was supposed to make it to the end, but it just didn't work the way we hoped, and that's just, I guess, the way things go. Like I said, he was in a lot of places. I found. I actually have a picture at the house of him in his dress whites, and he was on the beach in Cuba. And when I did that humanitarian cruise, we ended up stopping in Cuba. Now, granted, I wasn't in the same location where he was, but I was at least put foot on ground in Cuba. So that was something. He had been in Jacksonville, Florida, where I had been. He did the Atlantic, the Pacific, just he was all over. So when I was out there, I did my retirement ceremony. I was always fascinated with the battleships. Like, if I was going to be a Hayes Gray sailor, that would be the Navy I would like to be in. Because, look at those things.
Yeah.
They're just carriers. Yeah, they're big. But battleships? Come on. 16-inch guns. They literally shoot a shell the size of a Volkswagen. And 25 miles at that.
Yeah. It's wild. It's fucking wild, dude.
So I ended up, because, the Missouri's there in Hawaii. I went and did my retirement ceremony on the Missouri, got done with that, got on some small boats, and went out into the Pacific, and ended up charting out and spreading his ashes out in the Pacific.
Beautiful, dude.
Where that's what he wanted. That's where he loved the Pacific, and he loved sailing. That was his thing. So like I said, it was a great closeout to a 20+ year career, to be able to do that, and just close all that whole chapter out, and it was fun.
Well, listen, Bill, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Hey, thank you, James, for having me. I appreciate it.
Wonderful to catch up. And what time is the coffee club on Saturday?
9 to 11. Every Saturday, 9 to 11. Rain, shine, snow, sleet, whatever. It's always on.
I don't eat sugar anymore, but I'm down for some sausage and cheese.
Hey, like I said, that was what we, why we did it is, in case
We're all getting
someone
older.
didn't want to eat, donuts or anything like that. We wanted to. We're always trying to involve it, trying to make it different, and surprisingly, we've noticed after we had started it, over on the internet, this place kicking one off or this place kicking one off, and it's like, every time we pull up, it's like, oh, this place downstate's having one, and it's great to see that to be able to, have more places start these for veterans to get them together and come in. Some of them are doing things that we don't even do. They have speakers come in and help out and everything. But it's still just to be able to come together and, if there's somebody that needs help, we can help them. We can get them help. Do
Nice.
whatever, reach out to people and, get them, support or whatever it is they need. Because, like I said, I don't know I don't know the answer, and I don't know how to stop the suicide problem. And there's a lot of us that, are on trying to, solve that problem. And I've even thought back to, World War II and everything like that, what those guys went through. Each one's different, told different conflicts, told different, time frames. And even if you look at Vietnam, Vietnam was a jungle atmosphere. Iraq and Afghanistan was more of an urban fight. But why do we have today such a group that is an alarming rate of men and women taking their lives? Like I said, I would rather sit all night and listen to you talk to me and tell me, cry on my shoulder, whatever, than to get that phone call and have to carry that casket. I've dealt with enough of that, and I don't want to deal with that anymore. So I don't care if I served with you or didn't serve with you. We're still brothers, and I can relate with you. I might not have been in Iraq, I might not have been in Afghanistan, but God damn it, I have an ear and I will fucking listen to you and do whatever I can to keep you here and keep you with your family and the people that love you. So this is our way of doing it, is the coffee hour. And so far, the store, the coffee hour, so far, hopefully it's working.
Little bits. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.